Before we get into the video, I want to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app, because for me it's the best football app there is available to you, and it is literally free, which means you get loads of great features at no cost. Whether that's player statistics, team news, transfer news, league tables, all great stuff like that, which I of course use in my videos. On top of that, you also get highlights for the DFB Pokal, Liga Portugal and also La Liga. And on top of that, full coverage of the Indian Super League and the Serie A, which means full highlights for both leagues. And also in the Serie A, once a week you get a game which you can watch live for free. Absolutely zero cost. A live match which costs absolutely nothing. And this week it will be Inter at home to Sampdoria this Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to watching. No one else offers you this stuff, so make sure to download the OneFootball app using the link in the description down below. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are getting straight into things because we need to pick a 26-man squad for England for the World Cup. Now, when we get to the World Cup, there will be loads of content on the channel, tactical videos, match videos, player scout reports, all of that sort of stuff. We're going to get started by picking England's squad, and we need to pick 26 players. Now, don't be confused, I haven't lost the plot. I know there's 12 positions on screen there. That is just the 12 positions that England need to cover the two different formations, whether that's a 4-2-3-1 or more of a 3-4-3. So don't worry, I haven't lost the plot. We're not looking for 12 positions. Well, we are, but not on the pitch at the same time. We're going to start off in goal, and I think the goalkeeping position is probably the easiest position to pick for England, because there is no way Gareth Southgate is changing his mind on Jordan Pickford. Ramsdale didn't play particularly well in the summer fixtures. He didn't play at all in the Nations League fixtures in September. Jordan Pickford is still going to be the number one, providing he is fit. And actually, something else I want to say, that for this video, I'm going to do a combination of what I would do, but also take into consideration what I think Southgate will do. Because I don't want this to be a completely unrealistic squad of purely what I would do, and then it's not even close to what Southgate wants to do. So we are going to take Southgate's thoughts, his ideas into consideration, hence the formations and the positions we've got on screen. Pickford's going to be in goal, and Ramsdale will also be in the squad. I think the only question is whether you pick Dean Henderson or Nick Pope, and Nick Pope is in way better form, so I think he gets in the squad. I think the goalkeeping position is nice and easy for us. I really don't think there's much need for conversation there. Pickford will be number 1, Ramsdale will be number 2, and Nick Pope will be number 3. So from here, rather than necessarily going through the team now to centre-back, full-back, midfield, the forwards, I want to talk about some of the players which I think are almost the guarantees in the squad. Not necessarily their starting spot, but the players that if they are fit, they will 100% be in the squad. One of them is Kyle Walker. If Kyle Walker is fit, I am very, very confident he will be in the squad because of his ability to play as a right centre-back in a 3, but also in a back 4, he is Gareth Southgate's preferred right back. So realistically, we could have him in either position here. If we move it into the midfield, Declan Rice is Gareth Southgate's main man, and rightly so. One of the best holding midfielders in the world, one of the few positions where England have a truly elite player who's in the top 5 in the world in his position, a wonderful midfielder. Jude Bellingham, another player that has to be in the squad, he just has to be. John Stones, a player that has to be in the squad if he's fit, because Southgate trusts him, and again, if this is Southgate's team, John Stones is a player that Southgate will play. No debate there. Who else have we got in the midfield here? Mason Mount is a player that, again, Southgate is going to pick him, and rightly so. His form did dip a bit at the start of the season, and actually off the back of the end of last season as well. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially since Graham Potter came into the club, he is looking more like his old self. Look a bit sharper, creating a bit more, chipping in with some goals. He's going to be in the squad, regardless. He just is. As is someone like Raheem Sterling, struggling a little bit at Chelsea at the moment, but he's one of those players who is just going to be in this England squad. He's one of England's top goal scorers under Gareth Southgate, apart from, of course, Harry Kane, who we might as well put in the team now because he's going to go. Harry Kane's going to go. He's going to start. He's going to be England's main man. Of course he is. But on Sterling, his form may not be the greatest at the moment, but in terms of Gareth Southgate's tenure as England manager over the past, 6 years now, Sterling is one of the only ones that has been a reliable goal scorer. We saw it at the Euros. He was the one getting the goals during the group stage. He's an important player for England. I think his experience, his ability to play on the right wing or the left wing. And yeah, I think these players on screen here now are the ones who, if they are fit, I am very confident they will go. These are the absolute guarantees. These are the ones that are often in Gareth Southgate's squads. And rightly so, there's a lot of quality players here. Before we continue with the video, I want to talk to you guys about today's video sponsor, anythingfootball.net. You'll be able to find the link to anythingfootball.net in the description down below. And as you scroll through the website, you will see how many great football boots they have
from a load of different top brands. And honestly, some of these football boots are absolutely stunning. They're genuinely works of art. And I'll put some examples on screen here. You can see just how nice some of these boots are. They really, really are stunning. But if you want to check them out for yourself, then use the link in the description down below and head to anythingfootball.net. Now back to the video.
So now I want to move through and let's finish off with the centre-back positions, because I think there's some big issues in defence for England, because if you look at all of their players at the moment, not very many of them play very often. So if you look on the top right of the screen here, we've got our fullbacks here and then our centre-backs here. Now we've got Reece James at the bottom of the list. We can take him off. He's going to miss the tournament, unfortunately, through injury. Gutted for him because he's a wonderful footballer, but he isn't going to make the squad. Who else have we got in centre-back? That's the issue, actually. Who else have we got in centre-back? In terms of players that are actually playing on a regular basis, Ben White is one of the only ones. And I know he weren't in Southgate's last squad. If it was me, and this is where kind of my thoughts are coming into it a bit more, Ben White has to be in his England squad. Again, he's another player that can play right back, he can play right centre back, he can play as the middle centre back. That versatility is handy. He can also play in the midfield. If Declan Rice was to be injured, he can play as a holding midfielder. He's done it in the past. I just think he's been really good for Arsenal this season. I can't quite figure out why he wasn't in the last England squad. He's been one of the form players in the Premier League, playing in one of the best teams in the league at the moment, certainly the top two with Arsenal. It makes no sense not to take him. He's just so good, been brilliant, and tactically, he offers Southgate some versatility. So I would be amazed if he's not in the squad by the time we get there, because he's having a really good season. Another player who is having a decent season in defence, and therefore I think will be in the squad, is Eric Dier. Now, if you ask me, Dier hasn't been as good as what people are making out. I think positionally he actually gets caught out a few times, but he is used to playing in a back three, which we know Southgate will consider at the tournament. He will consider using that back three, so Dier's experience there could be handy. Again, Dier is one of those players who, in desperate situations, can play a few different positions, which is important in tournament football to have that squad depth and that versatility. Dier's a reliable player. I don't think he's particularly exciting. I personally wouldn't want to see him in the starting 11, I don't think he's of that quality. But as a squad player, a bit of leadership, yeah, I'm happy to have Eric Dier in our 26-man squad. The left centre-back spot is probably where it gets a little bit more interesting, because once again, there just aren't many players playing at the moment for their club. There's just not a lot of players that are fit and in form for their club. However, one is Tomori. Now, he has had a couple of slightly ropey games against Chelsea in the Champions League, but if we take those two games out of the equation, he's one of the only centre-backs, English centre-backs, that is playing kind of at a club that is competing for the top four in their respective league, and actually playing on a regular basis, and actually playing well. Also, he is a left-sided defender. He may be right-footed, but he plays on the left of a centre-back pairing for AC Milan. I think he has to go. He's probably England's most informed centre-back. Now, I know we're talking about Ben White, but Ben White has been in the best form, but that has been at right-back. I think Tomori, actually in terms of playing centre-back on a regular basis, is England's most informed player. And then that just leaves us with one spot. And I think it's a little bit of a tricky one. So who we got? We've got Joe Gomez as an extra centre-back. Been playing recently for Liverpool on quite a regular basis. Had some good games like the one against Manchester City, but then some not so great ones against Nottingham Forest. Connor Cody in there for the experience. Tyrone Mings in a struggling Aston Villa side. And then Guehi, who I think this is just one tournament too early. I think he'll probably be, when we're talking about the Euros, then he comes into the conversation. But for now, I think it's too early for him. The big question is, can you take Harry Maguire? In horrible form for the past 12 months, since the Euros pretty much, where he was brilliant to be fair. But in horrible form, not really fit at the moment. Can England really take him? I'm going to be completely honest, and I think this is one of those ones where people will disagree with me. I would take Harry Maguire. In terms of for England, he has very rarely put a foot wrong, and he has been a massive part of the past two tournaments for Gareth Southgate. He's been a huge part of that team, both at the World Cup and the Euros. His form for England, we've never really been able to question it. He's always been good, and he does have the experience. We know he is captain of Manchester United. Now, people question his leadership ability, but there's got to be some form of leader in there for different managers to trust him as captain. So his experience in the dressing room, whether he's on the pitch or not, different argument. Completely different argument. I think he should be in the squad for perhaps what he offers off the pitch, and also he is Mr. Reliable for England. Not many of these other defenders can play on the left-hand side of the defence, particularly if it was a back four. Not many people can play left centre-back apart from Tomori. I would take Harry Maguire. Another player I would take from Manchester United, another player who was in poor form even just 6 weeks ago, Luke Shaw. Now, like I kind of said there, 6 weeks ago, you probably wouldn't have him in your squad because he wasn't playing very well at all. Tyrell Malacia was keeping him out of the team at club level for Manchester United. But since then, his form has just gone up a gear. He's really gone up to a next level. And he looks close to what he was at the Euros last year. And he just looks so much sharper, so much leaner, so much fitter. And he looks in a really good place right now. In terms of his ball progressing ability, I think he offers something from these defensive areas which no other England player offers. Not just no other left back, I don't think another England defender offers the ball progressing ability what Luke Shaw does. If you watch Manchester United, Luke Shaw is one of the players that is really getting the ball forward through the lines. I think England could do with that, particularly in the group stage, where there will be games where teams will sit off a little bit and you've got to try and break them down, play through a low block or a mid block. I think Luke Shaw is the sort of player that you want to try and do that. In terms of his work effort, he looks a lot better at the moment. He's covering a lot of ground. If you saw the game against Chelsea, Luke Shaw is the man for me. I think he's England's best left back. I think on form, he is England's best left back without a doubt. And I think at the moment, he's on form, so it makes sense. And then the other option, the backup, Ben Chilwell. Not really much argument here. He can play in a back three, which would be a good option for wing backs. He does it at Chelsea, so that kind of makes sense. The only other competition really is Ryan Sessegnon, which he's been decent for Spurs, but I don't think it's massive competitions. Chilwell's spot in the team should be safe. Now I want to go to right back, because this is a controversial one. Because all we talk about all the time when we talk about England is how they have about 37 right backs that are really, really top quality. And suddenly they're all dropping like flies. Reece James, like I said, I think is definitely out. Walker we've got a doubt over, but I think he'll be okay. Then we've got Trippier and Trent Alexander-Arnold are the main ones really that I think can compete for that spot. And I'm going to be honest, I'm only taking Trippier. We've already got Walker. We've got Walker who can cover, if it's a back four, I'd like to see Walker at right back. If it's a back three, I would go for Trippier. Now people are going to be screaming at me in the comments about Alexander-Arnold. I get it, right? I know everyone likes him. I know he's good at crossing, he's good at passing. I just don't think he fits the system that Gareth Southgate wants to play. And there is no point in taking a player who doesn't fit the system. Now, you can make the argument, absolutely, that England should make a system to play around Trent. Absolutely, you can make that argument. Southgate is not going to do that. How long to the World Cup? Literally less than a month. In 30 days' time, England will have kicked off. They will have played their first game and be preparing for the second. Southgate isn't going to make a system for Trent Alexander-Arnold in less than a month, if he hasn't done it in the past 4 years. So there is no point in taking a player which doesn't fit the system. That's just how I see it. I know people are going to disagree with it because the quality and the creative ability is clear. He just doesn't make my squad because I don't think it's worth it. I think you kind of have to shoehorn him into a system which just doesn't get the best out of him. It doesn't make any sense to me. As we move into the midfield, I think there's more issues for England, and kind of as we're going through this, it doesn't look too great for England at the moment, and there's just a lot of players out of form or out of fitness. And if we look in the midfielders again in this top right section up here, Calvin Phillips, who played a big part at the Euros, not fit, barely played for Manchester City so far. Conor Gallagher, who was so brilliant last season, not very good. Henderson, really bad at the moment, really bad. Ward-Prowse, not as good as he was last season, but still decent, kind of Mr. Reliable, nothing special. Loftus-Cheek in pretty good form, can play a few different positions, so he's definitely a shout. Harvey Elliott, probably one of those players where it's just one tournament too early. I don't think he's quite there. Although, maybe just one injury to this England squad in the midfield, and he could make the squad. In terms of who, Ward-Prowse would go for me. I think he's the one where I would say, yes, I would like him to kind of be England's third choice central midfielder. Like I say, he's nothing special, but from set pieces he offers something. He is a captain as well, so that leadership in the dressing room. He's clean on the ball, good with his passing, can move the ball about the pitch, his long passing, switches of play, things like that. I think he's a decent option. Realistically, if England have the choice, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham start every single game next to each other. Ideally, these other midfielders aren't even really playing unless England have the luxury of rotating at some point. We'll have to see. If they do get that luxury of rotating, who on earth do we pick as the other midfielder? So the options. Calvin Phillips, is he even going to be fit? I doubt it. Conor Gallagher, bad form. Loftus-Cheek, in good form to be fair to him. And like I said, Harvey Elliott, who I think is one tournament too early, and he'd play slightly further up the pitch anyway. So we have Loftus-Cheek and Jordan Henderson. Not inspiring, I'll be honest. I'm going to go for Jordan Henderson, and I didn't think I'd be saying that, and I don't want to be saying that, because I don't think he's very good. But I do think he's one of those players who, again, sorry to keep saying it, for the dressing room, could be really big for this England team. And it's quite a young squad in certain positions, so to have that experience, a person who has won the Champions League, has won the Premier League, has gone to semi-finals and finals with England in the past, kind of been there, done it, not at international level, of course he hasn't won the stuff, but I think his experience and his leadership in the dressing room could be important. Like I was saying, ideally Rice and Bellingham start every game, so then we're kind of talking about who do you take as an extra midfielder who, if needed, can do a job, but if he isn't going to play, is going to contribute something to the dressing room. I think Henderson's leadership ability just offers a bit more than Loftus-Cheek. Not saying nothing against Loftus-Cheek, I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything like that, but Henderson is a leader, we do know that. So for that reason, I would take Jordan Henderson and kind of hope that you don't have to play him too much, but that you can use his experience in the dressing room and keep morale up, things like that, because it is really important in tournament football. It really is. I don't think we can talk about it enough. That leadership in the dressing room, things like that, really, really key to a squad's morale over the course of the month if you're going to go the full way. So I think Henderson makes it for that reason. So now we're getting into those exciting attacking positions. We already have Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane already in the squad. And a player I would like to add to that is James Maddison. Again, he's one of those players where 4 months ago I probably wouldn't have said the same. But his form at the moment is incredible. Again, he's a player that offers a bit of versatility, the ability to play on the right wing, but also as an attacking midfielder, as a rotation for Mason Mount, I think it's a really good option. Now, in the past we've spoken about Foden in this area. Southgate just doesn't seem to fancy Foden in this position. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Southgate doesn't want Foden there. In that case, England needs someone else who can play as an attacking midfielder. James Maddison is the guy for that, in my opinion. He's the man for the job. His form for Leicester has been absolutely brilliant in a quite horrible Leicester side. His creativity, his ability to score goals, again his set pieces, his passing. I think he's that sort of player who can unlock a defence. A really tight defence when England just need something to happen, someone to flick a switch and do something. I think James Maddison is the sort of player that can find that sort of pass, when perhaps Mason Mount isn't. So that's why James Maddison would be in this squad. England are chasing a goal, need a bit of creativity, something special. James Maddison is the man that you bring on. If we now move to the wings, I think this is the area where in the past 5 years, England have kind of been stacked with a lot of good players. We were speaking about right back earlier. The wing is probably the other area where England have a lot of really good talent. However, it's another area where England have some issues with form. If we go through the players, we've already got Raheem Sterling, who isn't in the greatest form. Jack Grealish, not in great form, in and out of the team at Manchester City. Sancho, really poor at the moment for Manchester United. Bowen not hitting the heights of last season. Foden and Saka both in good form, and then Rashford kind of in and out of form. He seems to be rediscovering himself. But we can see again that England have some issues here, because there are several players who just are not in the greatest form. However, like I said, the two that are in form, Saka and Foden, have to be in this England squad. And I would make an argument that at this moment in time, Saka has to start, because his form for Arsenal has been absolutely incredible. We all know how good Arsenal have been this season. Saka is a big reason behind it. His ability to, one, hold the width and get a team from that point of view, be kind of that outball on the wide position, the isolation winger up against a fullback, that sort of thing. But also his ability to come inside. We've seen him take penalties in the past before. He seems confident in doing that. Yes, he missed at the Euros, but I think he's shown his mentality, his personality to keep taking penalties for Arsenal. So he's a really wonderful footballer, and this could be the tournament, I think, where he really kind of announces himself to the world. He's done it in a sense already. Because Arsenal haven't been in the Champions League, I don't think he's really done it on a global scale yet. This could be the tournament where he does it, if Southgate gives him the chance. I certainly would give him the chance to try and do that. In terms of on the left wing, I think things are a bit trickier. For the right wing, I think that's all I'd take. Bowen just hasn't been good enough. Sancho isn't even playing on the right wing. In terms of Sancho on the left wing, is he in the discussion? Yes, he's in the discussion. But does he have a serious case? I don't think his form's good enough, and it hurts me to say it because I really love Sancho. I think he's a wonderful footballer, and long term I think he's a player that England should build around, but at the moment his form is just not there at all. Phil Foden, like I was saying, is the one that has to. We know how good he is, his form is good, he's getting goals and assists for Manchester City. Without a doubt, he's in the squad. I think we've then got probably Jack Grealish, Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford competing for the other two positions. So 3 of the 2 are going to make it. Now, at the moment, Rashford is in the best form of the 3, so he makes it for me. It's now Jack Grealish or Jadon Sancho. Like I said, long term, I think Sancho's the man. Sancho's ceiling as a footballer is incredible. He could be something really, really special. He's a really special talent. And I think like I said, his ceiling and his potential is higher than Jack Grealish's. However, at the moment, Sancho just isn't really doing it. And Southgate hasn't fancied him in the past, and he has fancied Jack Grealish. So for that reason, I am going to go with Grealish, kind of partly with what I would do, but also what I think Southgate would do. So that is our wingers. Saka, Sterling, Foden, Grealish, Rashford. I think that's pretty tasty. There's a couple of players not in the greatest form of their careers there, but I think that's pretty nice. Plus with Mason Mount and James Maddison in there as well. I think there's a lot of creative ability there, there's a lot of pace, and also kind of some different skill sets as well. We've got the more creative players, the more goal-scoring focused players like Marcus Rashford, our dribblers in someone like Jack Grealish. I think that's quite a nice mix. The last place we need a bit of a mix is up front. Although, do you actually? Because I was thinking about this before. I was thinking perhaps in a squad like this, you want a mixture. You want your Harry Kane, but then perhaps you want your target man striker, and then perhaps you want a pacey striker. So in different scenarios, you can bring different players on. And I was thinking about that. But then I was like, realistically, if England need a goal, there is no way on earth that Harry Kane gets brought off. If you need a goal, Southgate doesn't bring Kane off. So actually, do you need these different profiles, or do you just need someone that you can just put in the box? Someone who's got a bit of size to him? I think that is what you need. Callum Wilson, for example, is a really good player, has a lot to offer. But in terms of England are chasing a goal, he's not coming on for Kane. So you're bringing him alongside Kane. I don't think it works. So honestly, I just think Tammy Abraham and Ivan Toney are the best options. Abraham last season, absolutely brilliant. He hasn't hit the same heights this year. Ivan Toney this year going to a different level. And again, penalties. We know how important that is in tournament football. He's excellent from penalties. He's only missed one in his Brentford career. So I think that's what I'd go for. Like I said, I just don't see a situation where you bring on... For example, I know he's retired from international football, but someone like Jamie Vardy, I don't think there's a situation where you bring him on anymore. The games where England are going to struggle is where they're trying to break a team down who are sitting deeper. You don't necessarily need pace to exploit that. So perhaps bringing up a big man like Abraham or Toney alongside Kane is the way to do it. And I think that's my final England squad. I think that is my 26-man squad that I would be taking to the World Cup. Now, that's just kind of based on the current injury issues we're aware of. If someone like Reece James is fine, he makes it in the squad, absolutely. Someone like Calvin Phillips, maybe if he can get some football before then, comes in for Jordan Henderson, maybe something like that. Apart from that, that is my squad. That is what I would go for, mixed with a little bit of what I think Southgate will go for. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. What would your 26-man squad be? And actually, if you could change... That's going to be your challenge in the comments, actually. Take one player out that I've put in, and then put someone else in. So replace one of his players, basically. Let me know the one that I've got wrong. But yeah, apart from that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.